This movie made me wonder, like, what kind of tribute movies will be made 50 years from now? There could be, like, Saving Mr. Baggins, Saving Mr. Spock, Saving Mr. Peabody. Saving Mr. Banks is directed by John Lee Hancock and is written by Kelly Marcel and Sue Smith. This movie stars Emma Thompson, Tom Hanks, Paul Giamatti, and Colin Farrell. Now, Saving Mr. Banks is pretty much the story of how Mary Poppins got made. Emma Thompson plays B.L. Travers, the author of Mary Poppins, and she's being hounded by Tom Hanks, who plays Walt Disney. And he's been chasing after her for 20 years, and she really just doesn't want to give it up. And when she kind of finally agrees to at least kind of meet with the Disney people, Disney and the others begin to discover that there's so much more behind the story of Mary Poppins than just a magical nanny. This goes all the way back to her childhood, and we get to see what exactly Mary Poppins means to her. Now, it is highly recommended that you watch Mary Poppins first before watching this. And I'm a hypocrite when I say that because I've seen Saving Mr. Banks twice before I, went around to seeing Mary Poppins. But, after watching Mary Poppins, you realize that there's a ton of references in Saving Mr. Banks that would be more enjoyable if you knew the source material. Saving Mr. Banks functions as like a tribute to Mary Poppins, but also is a tribute to Disney because I'm not sure if I'm correct about this, but I think it's the first time they have an actor playing Walt Disney, and it's about time Disney, paid tribute to the man behind the mouse. Saving Mr. Banks though does work on its own as its own, movie, although it does have quite a few problems, I think, that I kind of noticed the second time around. Alright, so Saving Mr. Banks takes place pretty much two time periods. There's the 60s when Disney is trying to, convince P.L. Travers to get the movie done. And then the other time period is in like 1906 when, it's P.L. Travers' childhood. And both of these eras are recreated very, very well. I was actually way more impressed with the 1960s thing because all the costumes, the offices at Disneyland itself, they all look really fantastic. It was really made me think, like, how much did they have to do to film these things in an old style? Because they surely don't look like this anymore. And the 1906 time period was pretty well rendered also. It just, it's not as mind-blowing as seeing something as familiar as Disneyland transformed. It's really all in the nuance here. Like, it's like tiny little makeup details also, like Tom Hanks's nose I think was different, and Emma Thompson's makeup and stuff. It's just all worked to immerse the viewer. And of course, since this is about Mary Poppins, like, you gotta have music in it, and it's really nice to hear like stripped down versions of the Mary Poppins songs when they're being played on the piano by Jason Schwartzman and BJ Novak. And it's really fun to see what they do with some of the songs. Like, they kind of show how Spoonful of Sugar was written. They kind of use the Bank song in a really interesting way. And the score itself by Thomas Newman is actually really, really nice. I was glad to see that they didn't just completely use the entire Mary Poppins score. And the score he has here is very Disneylandish. It's always very busy. It feels like the kind of music that plays when you're at an amusement park and does hit all the right notes without being too over dramatic. In my opinion, this really is an acting movie, though. Emma Thompson as P.L. Travers, she just owns this role. She's so awesome because she's super rude, but she's so British also, And I don't know, there's just something so eloquent, articulate about her, but eventually you start to realize that this girl has so much baggage and she really brings it very well to the audience. Tom Hanks also surprisingly owns his role as Disney. With a superstar like Tom Hanks, sometimes it's really hard to see the character, you just see the actor. But, he really, really did come off as Walt Disney here because of just the way he spoke, the way he moved around. It really just was like a great performance. But everyone talks about those two. You really have to talk about Colin Farrell and Paul Giamatti here. Paul Giamatti plays like Dale Travers' limo driver, and he's just so earnest and nice and stuff. I love Giamatti. I don't know why. Like, he's just like, really likable even when he's slapping slaves in 12 Years a Slave. Well, maybe not there, but he's an extremely likable guy. He's extremely heartfelt. And Colin Farrell as the father of P.L. Travers back then, he completely blew me away. He had such a range of emotions. He's like this really playful father. At the same time, he's like this struggling drunk, and he really captures his struggle really well when he's trying to hide it from his family and stuff. And it's just really tragic to watch. However, like I said, I do have quite a few problems with Saving Mr. Banks. For one, these two storylines, they don't really feel all that balanced. And what happens is because some segments are too short, some segments are too long, and especially when you look at them compared to each other, they're not that balanced at all. The movie does end up feeling a bit slow. Transitions between scenes could also use a bit more work. Sometimes it just, flashes to the past scene, and I would have liked a bit more order. Also, all the hinting and parallelisms, not just between this and Mary Poppins, but between the two storylines, I don't think it's really necessary. I mean, there's just way too much kind of beating you over the head with it. My biggest problem with this movie is the fact that I don't really buy when P.L. Travers changes her mind and allows Disney to make the movie. And of course, that's not a spoiler, Mary Poppins got made. But when it happens in the movie, it just doesn't feel earned. It just kind of happens, and I don't understand why. So objectively speaking, Saving Mr. Banks is still a pretty good movie. It's not terrible, but it's not great, I think. But it is extremely entertaining, especially if you're with your family. And if you love Mary Poppins, you really do have to watch this, though. It is like complete fan service. Alright, so have you guys seen Saving Mr. Banks? What did you think of it? Do you think it's better than Mary Poppins? God forbid. Whatever you think, whether you agree with me or not, please leave me a comment. Let's have a conversation.